I work in DMC Global, which is a Singapore firm, but we also branch out to Indonesia and Dubai as well. In Indonesia and Singapore is we do investment migration. So basically, like a simple term is we have people acquire second residency or second citizenship through investment. The one is ease of travel, and also backup plan. Third gen is when the first gen suddenly they don't do enough legacy planning, and then they don't do all these steps to make that inheritance to all the members correctly. There's gonna be a huge dispute, and I'm talking about legal dispute. I think our generation is, my generation is still very open to the idea, oh, we need to plan. But then the one generation before is always, there's very taboo thing in Chinese culture, apparently, right? To talk about death and, oh, who gets what and who gets something. It's still very taboo.
Hi everyone, welcome to David Joshua Live Talk Show. Today with me, I have with us today is Standy from DMC Global. So what I understand is that he is in the immigration investment business. I invited him because I believe that my clients who are high net worth and also business owners would really benefit from his service. And yeah, Standy, welcome, and please share with us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, David, I appreciate you having me here. So my name is Standy. I'm from Indonesia, and as David said, I work in DMC Global, which is a Singapore firm, but we also branch out to Indonesia and Dubai as well. And David mentioned a bit about migration, but most of our dealings here in Indonesia and Singapore is we do investment migration. So basically, like a simple term is we have people acquire second residency or second citizenship through investment. It can be through a myriad of various effort that you can have. So it can be real estate, it can be anything. So I don't need to get into detail, but basically what we do is help people acquire that.
Okay.
So we work very closely. Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue.
So my role here in DMC is I'm the country head here, and I'm also the senior advisor here in Indonesia, while most of the teams are now located in Singapore.
I see. So just how you said, you work very closely with something.
Yeah. So we work very closely with wealth managers like you yourself, David, and a lot of wealth managers, individuals, and also from all the banking side. But we work with all of them because we have similar clients, which is high net worth individuals. And you mentioned it as well. It's very important for high net worth individuals to have legacy planning and also have a multitude of structures in place before they go into legacy planning itself.
Okay, now that you come to this, right, where legacy planning is more towards end of life, but before that, I think your services really can benefit them on right now. Maybe education, right? Some of them, they want their kids to study overseas. Maybe you can share a bit more like what kind of countries do people look at and how you help them for education.
So for most of our clients, there's a lot of different reasons for them to get second residency, right? So one of them, as you mentioned, is getting the kid better education. So for better education, of course, we all know that people would like to go to America for studies, right? It's number one in universities and still very good in education. So we can help with that. We can help the children get a green card. That is also very beneficial in the children getting a good college. And in terms of other benefits other than education, is also ease of travel. So if you, for example, for me as an Indonesian, it's very hard for me to go to certain countries, right? Because of the restrictions with visa. And we have to apply for that. It takes you months or even multiple months lah. So what we help is also with that residency. You can also travel, for example, to Europe without visa. And that can be a huge plus. But I guess not for you Singaporeans lah.
So for yourself, I understand that you studied in the US as well. Do you have a green card back then or you didn't?
So let me tell you one thing. So back then it was really hard for me to get into a good school because most of these good schools, they value if you're a green card holder or you're a citizen, it's very easy for you to get into the school and you pay very less. So for me, international students, I was always trying to get into the big schools, right? You can name it like Stanford, Harvard. It's a very hard school to get into. And when you see the tuition fee for international student, it's always more than double. So for example, for general example, so for international student, it's 30K per semester. But for people who is a green card holder or someone who is a citizen, it can be as low as 16 to 17K USD per semester. So that's almost half.
I see.
And the other thing is, it's easier for the university to accept you because you're considered as a local.
Okay. So it's like if your
so
back then have a green card for you, you will save money and you will save your
and I would
visa.
I would probably go to Harvard.
Must be very smart, huh? So okay, so I guess probably that is one reason, now that you can share with your clients also what you have went through, and this is something that you benefit from. And besides education, what are the other reasons that people would want a second residency? For example, recently I think a lot of people are talking about going to Dubai. Maybe share a bit more what are your clients doing and how you help them to settle in Dubai.
So for education, it would be probably US, right? For Dubai, it's having pretty hot lately because of tax. So in everywhere in the world, people are trying to optimize their tax. They're not trying to avoid it, but trying to optimize in some way.
Yeah.
Because for us Indonesians, it's very hard to, with those taxes, it's very high. Every tax is very high. Income tax, capital gain tax, you name it. So that's why people are looking for offshore structures. So what we help in DMC is we can help you with offshore structuring your companies, or even for your personal wealth. We can register you into Dubai, and you can get the better tax jurisdiction. I would say one of the best tax jurisdiction right now in the world. So I would say Dubai right now is number one.
When you talk about this, you mentioned a few times about Indonesians, but what about countries in other other parts of ASEAN countries? Would they benefit from your service, or even Singaporeans?
Sure. So from what I know, every ASEAN countries that have a very middle to very high tax income. So if you are trying to optimize your tax, if you just going to, probably I'm just going to open a company in Singapore, that's still going to make you pay a lot of tax, apparently. But if you go to Dubai, it's basically 0 to none. There's no tax at all. There's no income tax, no capital gain. There's not even a corporate tax. And the corporate tax only starts at 9%, but it's until you set a certain threshold. So it's kind of, there's a certain hole there.
Is that a high threshold? Is it a high threshold or?
Still very high threshold, but in general, most of our clients are just having that company set up there, and they are not actually operating in Dubai.
I see. So in this case, they are probably able to save their taxes, as you mentioned, optimize, right, their tax planning while they are still around, right?
Yes.
So in this case, what are the other reasons besides tax and also education? Based on
So other than that, tax and education is mainly the big thing, but the other one is ease of travel and also backup plan.
Okay.
So for backup plan it's like a plan B for some people. So if what happened if COVID start again, right? If COVID start again and then you're stuck in a country that doesn't have a good healthcare, and then you're trying to fly off, but then I cannot allow you because you're from this country. So with certain permanent residence or certain residency, you can obviously choose a residency that have a superior healthcare, or they have a superior infrastructure, like Singapore, for example. Dubai have very good healthcare as well.
Okay. So right now you are very focused on Indonesia, I can tell, right? In Indonesia, like what's the rate of take up like currently? Is there more and more people going to this?
So currently, the trend lately has been going to Dubai, and Singapore people have been going from Indonesia to Singapore for quite a while, but recently it's been Dubai because it's been pretty hot. They're attracting investors. They're very well. Their construction, their infrastructure is very good right now. They're trying to put more investment into the country. That's why they're accepting all the foreign investments lately, and they're very friendly, very friendly.
So that means I can also do that, right? If I want to.
Yeah, you personally can do that, of course.
Yeah, like okay, let's say if I want to do that, like what's the requirements and all this to open a setup in Dubai?
Yeah, so the requirement is not that hard. It's usually opening the bank account is the tricky part, right? But then if you have a certain amount of money that you can be placed into that company, it should be fine. So the the KYC is not that hard as well, as we all know in Dubai. They're attracting investors, so they are actively looking for money from outside the country, right?
Okay.
And to set up the company is very fast. So around 2 to 3 weeks, you're gonna be there for all the paperwork and the medical checkup and everything.
How much is the minimum requirement of financial assets to be brought in?
So besides the fee that you need to open the account, the financial that needs to be placed into that company is around 250K USD.
Okay. Then you are able to open already, or you need to buy a property?
You can do. No, you don't need. So you actually can put it there. You can put it in the deposit. You can do whatever you want. You can buy a property too if that's what you want. They have a pretty good property there. I've a lot of developer partners there, and there's like 5 to 6% annual rent out every year.
So in those properties, can you take loan or you have to be paid in full?
So in those yes, you can take loan from the local bank, but you need to be the resident first. That's why we help.
Step by step, right? Basically.
Yeah, step by step. So basically the step is
So let's talk about Singapore, right? Like now that Singapore, like is Singapore still an attractive place to bring money in, and does your client still do that? And maybe just want to share with me a bit like some requirements to be a Singapore PR. Can you expound on that? Like, is Singapore still late, and what kind of people will come to Singapore, and how do they do that?
Singapore is still very enticing for most of the clients that I deal with, since Singapore is well known like in the Asian area, right? So people are still reluctant. Oh, it's Dubai, it's the Middle East and stuff like that. So Singapore, in terms of branding, is still the best for people here. And second, the tax is still very good compared to other Southeast Asian countries. It's still one of the best. And they have no estate tax, as you might know already, right?
Yeah.
And for the steps for Singapore, for foreigners to get Singapore PR there's two main steps. So the first one is for people who is trying to open a business, or they are currently not at the level that they want to open a family office. So the first one that I'm going to mention is, so with the minimum investment of not really so much, like 50K SED, you can open your own company, right? And then you inject that money, that 50K or more, to that company, and you pay yourself. If you pay yourself every month for 2 years, you can apply for a PR.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first amount. And
yourself, what's the minimum amount to pay yourself?
Yeah. So per annum is 250K SGD.
Okay. So there's another 2 years. There's another way, which is a very high net worth billionaires kind.
Yeah. So the other one is the very ultra high net worth. It's not even high net worth. So the other one is you open your family office, and the initial investment and paid up front is the 25 million SGD. And there's also a requirement that you have to have, for 3 years straight, your asset turnover has to be over 250 million SGD.
I understand. That means you start with 25, but eventually must move to 250. Wow.
Yeah, basically 250, and you have to be recovering for 3 years.
Wow, that's cool. So in this case, like, I mean, after this, we do see a lesser people bringing in through that method, right? Especially after some of these tax scandals in Singapore recently, right?
Yes.
So just like I mentioned about inheritance tax, let's talk about that, right? Like in Singapore, I think in ASEAN countries, it's one of the only country that doesn't have inheritance.
The only country.
Yeah, how much is Indonesia's inheritance tax? Do you know?
Indonesian inheritance is quite hefty. If I'm not wrong, I'm not pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but it's like around 20%.
Okay. All right. So
should be around there.
We'll still bring here for legacy planning, and I mean, some of them, they can,
of course,
education here, right? NUS, NTU are good schools.
Still very good.
Yeah,
still very good.
Okay, we value confidentiality, and but at the same time, maybe some stories that you have with your clients who brought money to Singapore on the purpose of legacy planning. Do you know anyone or any stories generalized, right? Generally, what people do?
Yeah, generally, I'm not talking for my particular clients, but in general speaking, there's been a lot of people from Indonesia or probably other countries in Southeast Asia that bring a lot of money to Singapore because you know why? Because it's because of the inheritance tax, and they're very keen on like, oh, I want to set up this fund for my next generations or even for generations to come.
Yeah.
So that's why they put it in Singapore. They work with people like you to build everything, the infrastructure, the structure, so that they can optimize the tax. They can know, oh, which person is getting this, that, and that. And that's why we also work with you guys, and and in terms of people coming into Singapore, is still very common now for that.
I see. So in this case, like, do you have any personal legacy planning stories that?
Yeah. So it's not a good personal story, but it's somewhat that I'm very aware of in Indonesia. It's very common. I'm not talking about a particular family. Yeah, very common lah. So in Indonesia, we're still a developing country, right? So the money that is growing here is very fast and high. And with a lot of these families, is they earn a lot of money. First gen, they earn a lot of money. Second gen, they probably grow the business, makes the business like twice or three times. And then third gen is when the first gen suddenly they don't do enough legacy planning, and then they don't do all these steps to make that inheritance to all the members correctly. There's gonna be a huge dispute, and I'm talking about legal dispute. That is very common here in Indo between families, between siblings. Between siblings, they can fight for inheritance. Because probably, I'm the first child, I should get more. Second child, I'm the only guy in the family, I should get more. And I should get all the assets because I'm very close with my grandpa or with my dad. So that's very common here.
Yeah.
And people are still not aware of how important it is to set it up before you pass. Because when you pass and there's no will that is actually leading the family on, there's people are gonna take. And even though your siblings, even though you're very close like with your cousins or whatever, if it's about money, it's always that. If it's about money, you always have to be careful, right?
I think one thing that people have, that people sometimes is lack of clarity, causing confusion. People tend to speculate. Then there's mistrust, and then also there's conflict after that. And as you mentioned, legal proceedings costs are involved, right? But again, that basically that's what I do, right? To prevent that 3Cs in proper legacy. But unfortunately, I mean, the past generations, people don't see death that openly, right? Probably a taboo thing to talk about death and things like that.
Yes.
You see the trend changing or pretty much the same in your current next generation of clients. Do you hear?
I think in our
to you now, or like maybe
I think our generation is. My generation is still very open to the idea. We need to plan. But then the one generation before is always. There's very taboo thing in Chinese culture, apparently, right? To talk about death and who gets what and who gets something is still very taboo. But I think for our generation, it's starting to change a bit, because we know how complicated it can be, how costly it can be to not be mindful of this thing.
Have you thought, like anyone that you know, maybe your parents' generation, that when you do this planning, they talk to you about their own legacy plans? Have you had such conversations?
So with my parents' generation, obviously not my parents personally, but in general, it's just legacy planning is always being talked about, but it's not to a point that because it's not yet, I still have a lot of time. Like, I'm 15 years old, I'm 60 years old, I have 20 more years to live. Why now? But that's the whole reason, right? We never know. We never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. I guess one thing that we can work towards is educate them on a mild manner. I think having the idea of working with different partners to perpetuate generational wealth, like either trust planning or some methods to pass down wealth for generations, right? Like gold and silver.
Yeah.
That could kickstart some conversations. So yeah, I think one thing that before we end is that do you have any sharing like why choose DMC Global for their trusted partner for investment migration?
So I believe DMC Global has been around for quite a while, but people are still not aware of how important it is to have second residency or second citizenship, because it can be passed down as well. It can be some sort of legacy planning. You can even create a green card for your children, for your grandchildren, and that's something that means a lot for me, because growing up, probably most of us doesn't have the privilege of having a certain structure that's been placed for us there so that we can thrive, right? So we can study better, we can make or earn money better. So I think that's why being part of this family in DMC Global helps me grow in that sense, and also take care of other people. I think that's the main thing. It's like, you know how.
Can you repeat your last line? I think we got cut off.
So I think my last line was, like how to make this family better, and now you're having the chance to lead them to that destination that we want every families to strive, right? We don't want any families to break down and fighting each other. That's why we plan ahead. We make the decisions now, so we in the later stages of life they can have it all.
I think what you share is very precious, like what I do, preparing them for afterlife, right? But what you do is impact them today, giving them the opportunity to study, to have a better life. And today I was having a conversation with one of my directors, and he said this, that we are very blessed to be in Singapore. You worked here before also.
Yes.
And working for a Singapore company, you had the opportunity to earn so much higher than the average median income in ASEAN, of course, even around the world. And this is a privilege that we have because we are placed here. I'm a Malaysian here, having this opportunity. You were Indonesian, right? Went to study US and came here. I studied in Singapore, and hence we had that opportunity and to be blessed with this chance to know network, education, working environment, all that. But if we are somehow not given that opportunity to grow and go out, we probably lack that.
Be exposed.
Be exposed is such a big thing. Education is not just the degree that you have, but it's the environment, the people that you've met. So I think very, very cool what you shared, that we can, what I really believe is not just to LEAVE, a legacy, also to LIVE, to allow them to live. And you can allow your children to live. You don't have to wait until you die to leave a legacy. Basically.
That's true.
Awesome.
I live your life now. Okay.
I think people who work with us would definitely see our two services going hand in hand. It's like hand in glove, right? Today you are planning ahead for your family, and also one step more, just in case things don't go as per plan. And like you said, a backup plan. Residency is a backup plan. Legacy planning is also a backup plan. So,
and also a lot of opportunities that you don't know. So I can say, for example, in Singapore, then you want to know, I want to go to be a resident in Europe or in US, because the business opportunities there, right? We never know. That's why I think what you say was right, is to be exposed with everything, with every culture as well.
I think at once a certain amount of money that we see our clients have is no more about having more money. What's the point of more money without opportunities? And people who work very hard to 9 to 5 or even more, right? They work 24 hours a day to build a business.
24 hours.
Do they want to see whatever that they've built up just to see families break up because of the wealth that they built? So I guess very aligned. So I'm looking forward to work much more with you. And for the viewers out there, we will definitely have more events coming up for clients, people, prospects, people who are interested to find out more about protecting your wealth, right? Protecting your wealth and also grow your wealth, not just financially, but also globally, right? In terms of exposure and your education and things like that. That's wealth also, not just. So I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'm very grateful for Standy to be here today. And see you all.
Thank you for having me as well. Thank you.
No problem, Standy. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.